Hello, we're going to be covering Chapter 7, Part 2 in this video lecture. It's going to be on Technocrime. So what is Technocrime? Crime that is also known as cybercrime encompasses all crimes facilitated by any sophisticated form of technology. And that it can include embezzlement, sabotage, which involves putting viruses, Trojan horses, worms, all kinds of good stuff into computer systems that essentially mess up and sometimes destroy a system. Using to facilitate illegal distribution of drugs, software piracy, and theft of trade secrets. We're going to look at three basic categories of technocrime. First, we have software piracy. And this is something that most of us have actually committed. Unauthorized copying of proprietary software and distributing those copies over the internet. For most of us, we may do that with music or movies, but one of the big areas is business software. So something like Microsoft Word or Excel is oftentimes pirated, and that is something that is used in virtually every office in the United States. So when you think about that, that's quite a bit of money. It is estimated that 1/3 of business software is pirated, with losses to the software businesses exceeding $10 billion. Then we have computer sabotage. This is interference with computer systems, such as infecting a system with a virus, a worm, or a Trojan horse. According to Economist magazine, there are 100 million infected machines on any given day. And that's not to say that every time you get a worm or a Trojan horse in your computer system that it's going to try and destroy it. A lot of times these things are looking for information, and if your computer doesn't have the information it's looking for, it's not going to really make too much of a difference. Other people just like to tag things, sort of a digital graffiti in a sense. So 100 million computers, that's pretty big, but not all of them are destructive. One of the most common these days is called a denial of service, or a DOS. The DOS attack assaults a website with mock requests from multiple computers until the server crashes and the service is disrupted. This is one of those things that is often done as a prank or a joke, so to speak, and it is unfortunately something that will cost a company a great deal of money. Then we have electronic break-ins. These are unauthorized access to a computer system. Cyber espionage has become an easy way for countries to spy on one another. And it is pretty well known that the Chinese have been hacking into our systems and stealing plans for weapon systems, but we also know that we have been doing the same thing to them because they have publicly accused us. When Edward Snowden released all the information last year or the year before, it was revealed that we were not only spying on our enemy countries, but we were also spying on countries that we are allies with, which means a lot of countries are still really mad at us. So what is the cost of cybercrime? According to a 2011 study from Symantec, cybercrime has a direct cost of $114 billion each year. The true cost, according to Norton, is closer to $270 billion when taking into account the time and effort it takes to fix the system once it has been infected. So, it's not just a matter of the direct cost, but all the other costs that are associated in having to fix something like that. That's where you really see the numbers ballooning. So let's talk about how people get infected. Email is the most common way for a computer to become infected. We used to get hit by malware a lot, but it's actually coming down because the antivirus and anti-spyware and all that software out there that we can download, oftentimes for very inexpensive or even free, is getting better and better. So as spyware is being, or as malware is being controlled, the bigger threat is spyware. Now, who is most likely to be a victim of cybercrime? Most victims tend to be male, millennials, meaning they grew up with a computer and use their mobile phones for everything. People who do not have an antivirus on their phones are literally just inviting trouble to their yard. Viruses, worms, and other malware account for 54% of cybercrime. Another aspect that we've talked about to some extent are online scams and phishing, which account for 21% of cybercrime. So let's talk about a phishing attack. This is when emails are sent to users that appear to come from a bank or online retailer. Oftentimes you'll see them coming in from a bank like PNC Bank. I seem to be getting those a lot these days. And they direct users to a website where they're asked to log in and provide sensitive information, such as mom's maiden name. This information is then used to steal money from accounts or create bogus credit cards. To put this in context, approximately 500 million phishing emails appear in user inboxes every day. That's close to 2 to 3 emails per day in every adult in the United States. Other attacks. We have viruses, which are self-replicating programs, usually hidden away in another host program or file. They are often designed to take advantage of a flaw in a web browser or other software. Then we have worms, which are malicious pieces of code which differ from viruses because they can run independently. They can travel from one computer to another across network connections. And then we have Trojan horses, and this is a type of malware that is used to insert corrupt information into a program. The crime most of you have committed, and that is, as I mentioned before, downloading music or a movie for free. And, this is in fact a cybercrime. It is estimated that every iPod in the USA has approximately $800 worth of pirated music on it. So take a look at your iPhone or your iPod, whatever you listen to your music on, and try and figure out exactly how many songs you downloaded for free. And then multiply that by $1, and that'll give you an idea of how much criminal activity you have on your iPod. Avatar is the #1 most pirated movie of all time. And then when it comes to people who are actually pirating these things, the United States is, I think, 7th or 8th in the world, but China is way more. It's #1. 95% of their population downloads music and movies for free. And part of that is because they don't have copyright laws there. So they don't recognize the same kind of intellectual property laws that we have in the United States. Russia is 3rd. So just to kind of give you some idea of where this piracy is going on. So let's talk about Napster, because Napster is a case study on how to avoid violating copyright from experience. What was Napster? Napster allowed users to search for a particular piece of music from other Napster users' systems, as long as they had installed the Napster free file sharing software. Once the piece of music was located, that song could be downloaded on the user's hard drive. And this is how it worked. So, Napster did not store the music on their own servers, nor did they copy the files. What they did, and this is what got them in trouble, was they maintained a central directory of the music available among all Napster users. And that is exactly where they went wrong, is by maintaining the central directory. Now, in 1999, the Recording Industry Association of America, the RIAA, sued Napster for contributing to copyright violation. And then in 2000, the band Metallica also sued Napster for copyright violation. And, clearly you don't want to upset these gentlemen too much. Napster's legal team argued that Napster users were engaging in fair use of the music. And there are 4 conditions for fair use. The purpose of use, is it for commercial gain or for personal use? And Napster argued that it was for personal use. Nature of the work, creative versus factual creations. The amount used compared to the full amount of the work. So if you look at it from the context of a CD where there's 9 or 12 songs, and if you're only downloading one, that's only a little bit, right? And then number 4, the effects of the use on the marketing of the work. Fair use should not materially impair the marketability of the work which is copied. In other words, it shouldn't reduce the sales. So really that was one of the big issues that Napster had to deal with in court. Napster argued that Napster users downloaded a song to decide if they want to purchase the whole CD, thereby saying that they did not materially impair the marketability of the product. Napster users downloaded MP3 files to listen to music they already owned on CD, and this is called time-shifting, such as when TV viewers used VCRs to record shows to watch later. This is all really old technology. None of us have VCRs anymore. We all tend to stick with our DVD or DVRs and our Netflix and all that other stuff. But time shifting had been a big case back in the 80s. So what we see here is, so essentially what Napster is saying is that they're just helping people out who already own these things and don't feel like downloading them to their computer. So the legal decision. The court found that Napster did encourage and assist in the infringement of copyrights, rejecting its fair use claim. So what happened next? Napster converted their business model to one that is similar to Apple's iTunes. But that unfortunately didn't work out so well for Napster because iTunes is so huge and Napster really didn't promote themselves very well. So did this stop file sharing? Of course not. In the digital world, as in most every other world, it's all about finding the next way of skirting the law. So what we do now is something called peer-to-peer. This model does not have a centralized server that manages the file sharing. The user can log into a peer-to-peer network and search for other computers that are on the peer-to-peer network for the file they are looking for. The search goes from computer to computer until it locates the file. Organizations like the RIAA, the recording industry, have fought the peer-to-peer suppliers like BitTorrent and LimeWire. And in 2010, a U.S. court shut LimeWire down for violating copyrights. So in other words, this argument is not going to stop anytime soon. A lot of musicians have changed their business model. They don't rely on CD sales as much. They focus on making their money through concerts and product. Those $50 t-shirts and those $200 tickets. So, they're trying to make their money where they can, because clearly most of us are not that interested in paying for our actual music or movies. So that's it for this part of the chapter. If you have any questions, please email me or text message me, and I will see you guys soon.